yeah, I came to the country in '63, in March of '63.
Okay.
And around about that time, my mum started sending me the singles from my brother's group. And being a bit of a ham myself, I thought, okay, let me see if I can get this played on the radio here. And I started running around all the radio stations within about a 200-mile radius of my home. And I would have the singles with me, and I'd go in and I'd ask to speak to the music director or the program director or whatever, and go in and say, hey, you know, this is my kid brother's band in England, and they're #1, and maybe you should be playing them over here. And for the most part, they would look at me like, what are you doing out of the kitchen? You know, you're a woman, you know, you're not supposed to be interfering in men's business. That was the attitude that I was getting.
Yeah.
And then any of them that did actually listen to it would say to me, oh, that's terrible, nobody's ever going to want to listen to that, you know, go on home and iron your husband's shirts kind of thing. So that was what I was getting. So I started getting Cashbox and Billboard and Variety magazine to research the whole American market, because I realized, okay, just going in with a record isn't going to do it. There's obviously more maneuvering that has to happen here. So I started, my research, and I started writing to Brian Epstein and also to George Martin and Dick James. And in my book, I've got copies of some of the letters that they wrote back to me, including ones from Brian saying, oh, I'm so pleased about your participation. I'm taking the liberty of sending you some of the records of some of my other groups, and I'd be happy to be so grateful for anything you can do to help. So they were very, very happy that I was doing this. But I never ever told my brother, because I was afraid, okay, if nothing ever comes of this, you know, I didn't want him to be disappointed. So I never ever said anything to him. So the Beatles themselves never ever knew that I was, you know, putting in miles and miles on mileage on my car, paying babysitters to look after my kids and going all over the place and writing all these 16-page handwritten letters every week to Brian Epstein. And so anyway, they didn't know anything about it. And so in actual fact, the whole world has never ever known anything about it. And it's when I had this band, Liverpool Legends, the last few years, we worked together and we sit and talk. And I'd be telling them different stuff. And the guy that plays my brother said, you know, that's a very important part of Beatle history, and nobody's ever heard of it. And everybody's been asking me to write a book for years, and I said, no, there's enough books about the Beatles, and they're mostly trash, you know. So anyway, they finally persuaded me to write a book. So not only did I tell about all of that, but I also put the letters from George Martin and Brian Epstein, copies of those letters in the book, to show, hey, I'm not just giving you a big bunch of BS, it's true, you know. So anyway, finally this story of my involvement is coming out, and it's so funny because this young guy here, he's written a book about Brian Epstein, the fifth Beatle, and so I've just been telling him all about what I was doing, and I said, you know, maybe I should be the 4.5 Beatle.
Yeah, definitely on the promotions aspect of it.
Yeah. And just, you know, all of the information I was passing on to him about what he needed to do. And one of the things I told him is you've got to get a much more powerful record label, because they had VJ, and they weren't doing much. And I said, you've got to get a major label, and I found out that Capitol, Columbia, and RCA were the three top ones. And so I told him that, and then I also found out that Capitol was also part of EMI, and they were with EMI in England. So I said, you need to get them to take you on. And so he tried, and they turned him down a few times, but he was trying to get with Capitol, because he realized from what I told him that without a major label behind you, you know, you might as well forget about it. So, you know, he pursued that as well. And then finally Capitol, of course, came around. And then all the people from Capitol, like Bill Turner, and I can't remember some of the other names, Vito Samella, they all started calling me and, you know, updating me on what was happening. And And actually, when they did the Ed Sullivan show, they actually sent me the whole itinerary of what was going to happen because they considered I was an important part of it. And I was with them during that whole week. So, this is all the untold story.
Yeah.
The lady behind the Beatles or whatever.
Yeah. It's huge. It's huge. You're right.
It's been going on for 50 years, longer than that actually.
Pardon?
So it's been going on over 50 years, so.
So I obviously started something.
Yeah, Elvis kicked it off, right? Got the ball rolling, and
It was funny, back on George's birthday this year, in February, I was, anyway, I was at Capitol Records in LA, and they were having something to do with George's birthday, and so one of the executives, Greg Thompson, his name was, came up to me and he said, I guess a little bit of the story's been getting out, because he came up to me and he said, "You don't happen to have any other talent like the ones that you had back in 1963. So I said, well, as a matter of fact, I do have a wonderful band of guys, Liverpool Legends, and they write some of their own original music, and I can send you some. Mm-hmm. So just recently I sent a lot of their original music to Capitol, and let's see what happens. I'm hoping maybe something good will happen for them, because we're just playing all over the place. We're a very successful band, but we're not millionaires, and we don't want to be millionaires. Because let's face it, that was the last thing that really happened as far as the Beatles concerned, that really destroyed the fun part of their lives. Because my brother said to me, usually when people become rich, they're usually considered to be tycoons. He said, in our case, we're just targets.
yeah.
Every gold digger, manipulator, predator.
Jump on board.
Yeah. And unfortunately, some of them were so sleazy and so what's the word, cunning, that they were able to slip in under the radar before the guys knew just what they were. Anyway.
Wow.
Thank goodness George is out of it now.